The stories doing the rounds at the moment. A sort of tasteless joke, really. The Frenchman, the Englishman, and the German board a train to Kiev, and somewhere along the journey, according to Russia's foreign ministry, they start snorting cocaine. No, this isn't a Cold War comedy sketch. It's the latest and most desperate attempt by Kremlin propagandists to derail Western unity using an AI manipulated image, doctored narratives, and an utterly fictional bag of Colombian marching powder. What we're witnessing is the absurd theatre of disinformation, a grotesque pantomime aimed at sabotaging diplomatic solidarity with Ukraine. And of course, they've already done the same thing to President Zelensky. If you're going to invent some sort of deceit, it would be painfully simple, and it ought to be it ought to be obvious that you invent a slightly different deceit to the one that's already been peddled. So, President Emmanuel Macron, the Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer were photographed together on a train heading to Kiev, an image meant to symbolise European resolve. But what followed was a digital hallucination. Footage of Macron picking up a crumpled white tissue was suddenly reimagined with AI aided colour saturation and image sharpening to resemble a bag of cocaine. A spoon, likely for tea or coffee, was transformed into an alleged drug taking implement, and the Kremlin's chief fabulist, Maria Zakharova, promptly seized the fantasy, posting on Telegram that the three leaders got high before their meeting with President Zelensky. A Frenchman, an Englishman, and a German did a line, she declared, perhaps mistaking propaganda for stand up. This is not accidental, it's a calibrated operation. Kremlin misinformation campaigns have long followed a simple logic. If you can't defeat your enemies militarily, you humiliate them by reputation. If you cannot fracture alliances with tanks and bullets, you do so with memes and lies. This is active measures point two with added Photoshop, but not very effective, not very good. I know the Russians use Photoshop a lot. They use Photoshop to get rid of Patriarch Kirill's rather big gold watch, except they didn't take out the reflection in the table. The French Elysee Palace was swift and unusually blunt in response to this cack-handed bit of propaganda. This is a tissue for blowing your nose. This is European unity to build peace. In other words, don't mistake diplomacy for debauchery. Don't assume that everybody's on some sort of Epicurean diet. This fabrication fits into the broader Kremlin playbook. In the past, Russian media called Zelensky an unstable cocaine addict. Putin's envoys have painted Ukraine as a narco state run by NATO's puppets, and the same toolkit was used in Syria, in the US elections, and across Europe. The goal? To paint Western leaders as degenerate, directionless, and dependent, chemically and politically. Even more insidious is the use of Western far-right influencers such as Tommy Robinson and Alex Jones, who gleefully amplify Kremlin lies under the guise of media skepticism. The alignment of Russian operatives and Western conspiracists is not coincidental. It's ideological. Their common enemy is liberal democracy and truth. What makes this episode particularly alarming is the sophistication of the imagery. The so-called cocaine bag appears shinier, whiter, and more conspicuous in the edited versions achieved through AI enhancement tools now widely available. The table glows a suspicious crimson. The spoon sparkles like a Bond's villain's accessory. This is AI in the service of autocracy, the hallucinogenic potential of synthetic media to create not just a false image but a false reality. We're entering a world where viral fiction can momentarily discredit political leadership and fracture public trust unless we build defences rooted in digital literacy, aggressive fact-checking, and clear international norms. No baggies, no snuff spoons, no snowstorms of cocaine graced the table on that Kiev-bound train. What did travel with those three leaders was something infinitely more potent in Putin's eyes. European solidarity, which he's been doing everything he can to fracture. That, not any fictional narcotic, is what Russia truly fears. And it's precisely why such disinformation campaigns must be called out immediately, intelligently, and with a tissue-thin tolerance for nonsense. There we are.